Hello and welcome. You're watching Wednesday's edition of Newsplus right here on ZTN Prime. My name is Wadzanai Sansole. Now let's take a look at the headlines this evening. President Mnangagwa has launched the $25 million Munumtapa Challenge Cup that is expected to transform Zimbabwean football over the next 5 years. Stay tuned for that story and more right here on Newsplus. The tobacco marketing season has kicked off, with farmers bemoaning the high input costs in the production of the golden leaf. And also on Newsplus, police are investigating a case of armed robbery at a Mukuru Financial Services outlet in Bulawayo early today, where the robbers are reported to have escaped with over 78,000 United States dollars. Homebound at last, the Zimbabwe senior national cricket team is now on its way home from India, where it was stranded after its travel plans were affected by the disruptions in key transit routes to the war in the Middle East. Now we take a closer look at the stories making the headlines, and we begin with President Emmerson Mnangagwa, who today launched the Zifa Munumtapa Challenge Cup, a $25 million tournament set to transform Zimbabwean football over the next 5 years. Now, the knockout competition will feature teams from grassroots to elite level across men's and women's football. We get more in the following report.
The legendary signature, Nemadododo.
President Mnangagwa described the Zifa Munumtapa Challenge Cup as a bold investment in inclusive sport development. Backed by a $25 million United States dollar sponsorship spread over 5 years, the tournament becomes the largest financial injection into Zimbabwean football history.
Ladies and gentlemen,
The national knockout competition will bring together all Zifa affiliates from community structures to the Premier Division in a single expansive format. Its return comes 19 years after the last Zifa Unity Cup in 2007, marking a significant moment for the domestic game.
This is a defining moment in the history of our country's football development. The initiative represents an innovative and groundbreaking structure that is set to alter the architecture of our country's soccer arena over the next 5 years. This competition framework is an essential building block towards a football sector that is integrated into the broader national transformation and the socio-economic development agenda of our country.
The president said sport plays a critical role in youth empowerment, social cohesion and economic development, positioning the cup as part of a broader national transformation agenda.
I urge you all to maintain the thrust where development, empowerment, and the wealth creation opportunities for the youth and women are at the heart of this initiative. Under my administration, no province, district, or talent must be left behind. Let this tournament become one of our country's nation-building instruments, connecting villages to cities, bridging provinces, and igniting the dreams of our young, talented boys and girls.
Zifa President Ngobile Magwizi welcomed the initiative, describing it as a game changer that will strengthen football structures countrywide.
This is the most comprehensive competition ever undertaken by Zimbabwean football. It spans area zones to the Premier League, to the grassroots, to the elites, women's football, futsal, and beach soccer. It is national in scale.
The football fraternity has also held the tournament as a landmark development.
This is quite a significant event, given that in the past, all our cups, all our tournament, the money that has been put in this tournament is 10 times more or so. So we're excited as the football community. We can't wait for the kickoff of the tournament.
Women's football is also set to benefit from a stronger and more visible national platform after years of consistent effort.
It's going to be a game changer. It's going to totally change the complexion of women's football, because this has been our cry for the very, very, very long time, for the longest of time. So we really thank His Excellency for including the girl child in everything.
The Zifa Munomutapa Challenge Cup is expected to stage over 700 matches at different levels and structured to deliver measurable social, economic and sporting returns while remaining fully compliant with CAF, FIFA and domestic governing standards. For ZTN Prime, I'm Tinashe Mkono.
Now, the government of Zimbabwe has assured the nation that the country currently holds sufficient fuel reserves to meet demand for the next 3 months, easing fears of potential shortages in the coming weeks because of the ongoing conflict in the Middle East. An acting Minister of Energy and Power Development, Jemu Soda, who's also the Minister of Information, Publicity and Broadcasting Services, told the National Assembly this Wednesday that a report detailing the country's preparedness has been presented, assuring the nation of enough reserves.
Through the measures that the government has taken to ascertain the stocks that we have, the stocks that are in Beira, including some stocks that will be free in Beira, which we think we should be able to take advantage of, we will be able to cater for the activities that are happening in the economy, in terms of agriculture, mining, and all other manufacturing. We will be able to cater for that. But as the conflict continues, we don't know which other areas that it is going to affect, but we will continue to be monitoring.
Now, the African Union, the AU, has called for urgent de-escalation following military strikes by the United States and Israel against Iran, which it said have far-reaching global consequences. And in a statement, AU Commission Chairperson Mr. Mahmoud Ali Yusuf urged the parties to exercise restraint and prioritize dialogue through international mediation. Now, we are now joined by the Zim Paper's group political editor, Ranga Mataire, for further analysis on this. Ranga, good evening and good to have you on Newsplus. Tell me, what is your assessment of the statement made by the African Union Commission in reaction to the ongoing conflict in the Middle East?
I think the statement issued by the African Union is proper. It's proper in the context that the African Union chairperson, Mr. Mohamed Ali Yusuf, issued the statement with the consciousness and realization that whatever happens in the Middle East has a direct impact on the continent. But I think it must be viewed within the context of what President Mnangagwa recently said during a summit in Addis Ababa, where he called for Africa to be a collective entity and to unite and ensure that the reality of a continental standby force is put into motion. It is important that Africa has a standby force which will be able to buffer itself if there is any conflict from any quarter. So I think what the President said in calling for a collective voice is very critical, and I think this is where the African Union chairperson is coming from when he called for a de-escalation of the conflict.
So what is the impact of this conflict on Africa, Ranga, and what lessons can the continent draw from the situation in the Middle East in terms of global political dynamics?
So the impact in terms of global trade will be huge, particularly the reports that we are getting that there is a closure of the Strait of Hormuz, which a lot of ships passes through. So it is of concern, but we must put into perspective the call by the African Union chairperson for the de-escalation of the conflict in what President Mnangagwa recently said during a summit in Addis Ababa, where he called for a vibrant, standby force, continental standby force. I think this is critical in terms of conflict. I think Africa must think about setting up a very vibrant continental force which will be able to buffer itself in cases of any conflict. Fundamentally, I think beyond the issues of trade, I think there is need for raising and mobilizing consciousness among African citizens about the need to ensure that we speak as one voice on international platforms. And when we speak with one voice, we are likely to be heard in terms of anything that might happen globally.
Thank you for your time. Rangamataire there, the Zim Papers Group political editor, joining us live to share his insights on the ongoing US-Israel-Iran conflict. And coming up shortly after the break, tobacco farmers raise concern over high input costs.
I was raised in a family of 4 siblings. We're very musical. We had so much time to practice in the streets. The neighbors always complained. And I remember standing outside my grandmother's house. I would have a talk show with bricks as my guests. So I think my career choice was a very natural one. My journey with MultiChoice started at Idols. It was so professional. I was so intimidated, but it turned out to be a very fruitful one. From Idols, Our Perfect Wedding Zimbabwe, Chew On, they've held my hand. I'm a proud member of that MultiChoice family. To ignite Africa's creative industries, to me, is what MultiChoice is doing. And they're bringing great, brilliant minds together to tell our African stories and for us to determine the path that we're going to take for the future. It's priceless.
Welcome back and thank you very much for staying tuned. Now, the 2026 tobacco marketing season officially opened today. Our crew interacted with farmers who bemoaned the high cost of tobacco production and who expressed hope that prices would firm for them to return to the fields.
It is the first day of the 2026 marketing season for tobacco. The selling has started here at the tobacco sales floor today. Most farmers happy with the prices that have started, but most bemoaning the issues of labor as well as travel costs that they incurred while coming here, as some of the bales have not sold to the prices that they were expecting. Bales have started steadily rolling onto the auction floors, but beyond the numbers and grades, rising input costs have become a common concern among growers. Seed, fertilizer, fuel and labor costs surged during the production season, leaving many calculating whether the returns will balance the books.
So fertilizer, especially AN, yakakwira price. Zvekuti AN yakakwira price to $50 a bag. So a farmer can't afford. Vamwe vakatokundika kuitenga, vamwe vakakwanisa kuitengawo.
For some, the current prices being offered on the auction floors are simply not enough, and they are pinning their hopes on a potential price increase as the season progresses. Meanwhile, farmers from Guruwe, one of the country's biggest tobacco producing districts, say this season nearly did not happen. Artisanal gold mining continues to lure communities with promises of instant cash, and agriculture in some areas is feeling the strain. And yet, for this farmer, the prices that are being offered on the floors are giving her hope. Zimbabwe's golden leaf remains one of the country's top foreign currency earners. But on the ground, farmers say sustainability will depend not just on opening the floors, but on ensuring that production remains viable.
Now, as the
season has started and it will progress, most farmers are relatively okay with the price that has been set. They are hoping that as the weeks progress, the prices will increase, so they will continue to recoup their investment. Reporting for ZTN Prime, I'm Faith Nyawade at the tobacco sales floor in Harare.
And still at the auction floors, the official opening of the tobacco marketing season coincided with the launch of the Tobacco Value Chain Transformation Plan 2, a blueprint aimed at transforming the sector into a $7 billion industry by 2030. And the plan feeds into the agriculture, food systems and rural transformation strategy, which seeks to reposition the golden leaf from a primary commodity into a fully integrated, high-value industrial sector driven by productivity, by sustainability and innovation.
The second phase of the transformation plan is aimed at boosting production, strengthening regulations, and attracting investment into value addition.
Through our Tobacco Value Chain Transformation Plan 2, we are targeting from 2026 to 2030, we're targeting to move our tobacco from $5 million contribution to the economy to $5 billion contribution to the economy to a $7 billion contribution, and also take our production up to 500 million kgs.
Authorities said the target is to increase value addition and beneficiation from the current 11% to 30% by 2030 through the local processing of cut rug, cigarettes and other finished tobacco products.
At the heart of it is sustainability, things like traceability, very important. Value addition is critical for tobacco to be something for the future, so that our farmers can diversify, our industry can diversify, because we need more than just the 7 billion eventually into the economy, and that comes from value addition.
The Tobacco Industry and Marketing Board said the new plan will introduce reforms that enhance market access, restore investor confidence and guarantee long-term sustainability for farmers.
Well, as you know, the Tobacco Value Transformation Plan wants 30% of this crop to be beneficiated, and that means cigarettes, nicotine extraction, shisha tobacco, there's lots of stuff. And there's huge effort going into this.
The launch of the Tobacco Value Chain Transformation Plan 2 marks a new chapter for the sector as government moves to shift from volume-based exports to a high-value industry-driven model that maximizes on earnings, creates jobs and strengthens the agricultural economy. For ZTN Prime, I am Mashudu Mambo in Harare.
Now, in other news, right here on Newsplus, police are investigating a case of armed robbery at a Mukuru financial services outlet in Bulawayo. And according to an official statement released by the police, the incident occurred during the early hours of today, with the robbers making off with more than 78,000 United States dollars and an additional 500,000 rand in cash. Now, preliminary investigations show that a Mukuru employee was manhandled as she arrived for duty and was forced to open the safe. Now, the robbers also disarmed the panic button and CCTV system. ZTN spoke to ZRP National Spokesperson Commissioner Paul Nyati for an update on the investigation into the matter.
The Zimbabwe Public Police is conducting investigations in connection with the armed robbery case which occurred this morning at a financial services outlet in Bulawayo, where suspects were yet to be identified pounced on a female employee as she was just arriving at the workplace. Then he forced her to open the offices and then forced to open the storeroom and the chap safe before getting away with US $78,141 and the 501,820,000 rand. We will be releasing more information in due course.
Still on our local stories, Vice President Constantino Chiwenga has called for the establishment of more mineral processing plants in the country to ensure Zimbabwe fully benefits from its vast natural resources. Now, VP Chiwenga made the call during his ongoing tour of mining operations in Midlands Province, where he is assessing progress in value addition and beneficiation across the sector. Now, his tour of Sandawana Mine in Berengwa and Jeli Lithium Mine comes in the wake of the government's ban on the export of raw mineral ores, a move aimed at curbing the plunder of the country's resources following what government described as unprecedented and unacceptable extraction and export of raw lithium. Now, speaking during the tour, Vice President Chiwenga emphasized that no single mineral is mined in isolation in Zimbabwe, highlighting the need for proper separation, processing and refining of minerals within the country.
We want the companies to come together. We understand, we fully understand that some companies are big, some companies are small. They will not be able, each company, to make a total beneficiation right up to the last product, so they must combine. Like, for instance, the Bikita, they have now brought in a plant, they are building a plant for processing of sesame, because our minerals are embedded. Remember, we were mining emeralds, and we didn't know that this emerald was important. Or at that time, it was useless, they were throwing it out. They were mining gold and they were throwing out. So there is no single mineral which sits on its own in Zimbabwe. They are embedded. So we want the separation of all these minerals from mining to processing.
Newsplus will be right back.
This is a people's game. They will be bubbling about this one for weeks and months to come. Let's go!
Wherever you are, whatever your reason, it's on SuperSport all season long. Reconnect and stay connected to DSTV Compact and get the best football on us.
Now, in our look at business stories, stakeholders from the transport sector, SMEs and residents associations have raised concern over change shortage as the central bank rolls out upgraded ZiG denominations. And speaking at the Harare Metropolitan Province high-level stakeholder engagement meeting, Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe Deputy Governor Dr. Innocent Mache said that reinstatement of lower ZiG denominations is expected to ease the change challenges, particularly if businesses take the lead in embracing ZiG coins and the upgraded notes. Panashe Mjanye reports.
For months, Zimbabweans have faced frustration at tills and marketplaces, often failing to receive change for small purchases. In some instances, customers were compelled to accept sweets or matches instead of their balance or to spend the last cent.
I'm being forced to spend to the last cent. Mama mazara masweets, mama mazara machis, mama mazara tutusabas is part of change.
Transport operators say the availability of smaller denominations will restore smooth day-to-day transactions in the public transport sector, where exact fares are critical.
So we expect more coins, we expect more volumes to come to make sure that the problem of change is eliminated. I stress this is a welcome move, but it needs to be supported by the availability of more ZiG notes in the ranks.
The central bank maintains that the upgraded ZiG notes and reintroduced lower denominations are expected to ease the challenge, with success anchored on business taking the lead in accepting and circulating coins and smaller notes.
I appeal to combi owners and drivers. Please collect the change. It's there. Every morning you come, pass through. Well, you probably start earlier than the banks can open.
Representing the Minister of State for Harare Metropolitan Province, Permanent Secretary Cosmas Chiringa said, the exclusive use of the local currency forms part of a broader economic strategy aimed at driving sustainable growth across sectors.
From an economic point of view, exclusive use of our own currency enhances the country's growth potential, allows autonomous fiscal monetary exchange rate policies to boost the economies.
As the new notes roll out, focus now shifts to the pace of market adoption and whether the move will finally bring lasting relief to consumers. Panashe Mjani for ZTN Prime, Harare.
Coming up in sport, Chevron's finally returning home from India. Zimbabwe Cricket ZC has confirmed that the senior men's national team is now on its way home from India after days of uncertainty caused by transit disruptions. Now, the Chevrons, who were in India for the ICC Men's T20 World Cup 2026, had their original travel plans affected by the disruptions in key transit routes caused by the war in the Middle East. However, the International Cricket Council, ICC, has since secured alternative travel arrangements to facilitate their return to Harare in batches due to flight availability and revised routing. And still in our sports updates, the Premier Netball League has begun preparations for the forthcoming 2026 netball season, with the league having lined up a number of matches, starting with a pre-season tournament that's set to be played at Girls High School in Harare over the weekend. Now, League Vice Chairperson Tendai Makate says they have opened their doors to accommodate clubs, even those which are playing in the social leagues, to get a platform to live their dreams.
So for the Premier Netball League, we are the professional league in the country, and that's very good for us. When we have teams coming from all sorts of backgrounds wanting to come to compete with us, we offer more structure and a professional route for the netball player, so that netball is not just a hobby, but something that you can earn a living whilst you're doing and actually start a career with. So for us as the Premier Netball League, it's very important that teams, wherever they are, even if they're in the social leagues, that they aspire to be part of the team or the flow that feeds our national team and national players.
Now, with all the Premier Netball League clubs having had ample time to prepare for the forthcoming season, the league is looking forward to a competitive season and has called on all the clubs to put their best foot forward.
We're looking forward to a very competitive season this year. The teams have been busy in their pre-season. We've been watching them as they prepare. There's going to be a clash of titans. It's really difficult to pick what that top 10 is going to look like for Premier Netball League. And looking at the talent on display here, it's going to be extremely competitive. There's no way of telling. And that's what's exciting for us as a league. And it's also good for our national team. To all the teams that get promoted this season, let's play ball. And let's do so professionally, promoting the girl child and helping her develop her career within our sporting code.
And that's a wrap on Newsplus this evening. Thank you very much for tuning in. My name is Wadzanai Sansole. Now, it's a good night from myself and the crew behind the scenes, and we leave you with the weather.